Howdy, folks. I'm Craven Capricornus, creepily cackling at curious cats.
I'm Amber.
And here are more curious cats for us to laugh at.
I think it works.
You think it works? Let's get started. As you all know, Capricorn is a goat. Mergoat. And that's why we're creepily laughing.
Brian's a Capricorn.
I am a Capricorn. The hardest working constellation in the sky.
I mean, you're pretty much the stereotypical Capricorn.
Let's get started. Alright folks, and our letter today is titled, Am I a jerk for asking my brother-in-law to get my sister to act like an adult over a toy? Throwaway account because I don't want more drama. My sister Nina, a 28-year-old female, and her husband Eric, a 33-year-old male, are better off than me and my husband, both 32. Eric is a business owner while my sister stays at home doing freelancing, which is making voices for animation. Now, Eric and Nina each have their own studio at home. Eric's is full of things related to astronomy, which is a hobby. This is lovely and interesting room, contrasting with that of my sister's, which is decorated like she's 5 instead of her late 20s. Say she has a pink desk, some neon lights everywhere, a wall covered in Funko Pops and toys. And even her computer is pink, which is okay. I mean, if that's what she likes. Brother-in-law is always getting her new stuff. Last month, it was a toy replica of Lament Configuration in Hellraiser. And this month is some big plush from her new favorite thing, Bendy, which happens to be my 12-year-old female's daughter's favorite too. We usually eat at their place on Wednesday nights, and I have twins aged 4 who are never allowed to go into either studio because they could break expensive things. The daughter is allowed to see, but not touch, but she noticed the plush on my sister's chair and made a beeline for it while she and brother-in-law were cooking. Unfortunately, she decided to bring the plush to the living room where one of the twins were running around and one of them accidentally spilled Coca-Cola on it. Now, I tried to not make a big deal out of it. I wanted to be responsible, so I informed my sister, who got out of the kitchen and examined it and said that I needed to pay $200 to replace it. I felt that it was unnecessary and too expensive, and I mean, since my daughter loves it and my sister didn't want it stained, I asked why not just let my daughter keep it. We don't have $200 to spare for a toy, and Eric can always get her another one, since he is always buying her stupid stuff like this anyways. Apparently, that was unacceptable. She told me that if we didn't want to pay, that we could take it to be cleaned, but she was not giving it to my daughter, even though she didn't want it to be stained. Cleaning is pricey, and my daughter didn't mind if it was stained, but Nina ended up getting angry at me and my husband, who were only trying to make her see that $200 is just too much for a plush. It was also ridiculous that I turned to my brother-in-law and asked him to be a man and tell my sister to stop throwing a temper tantrum over a toy. Like she is not an adult, but a spoiled kid, which is his fault since he treats her like she's 10. He took the plush from my daughter and told us to leave, even though we hadn't even been fed yet. We ended up getting McDonald's while my daughter cried because she really liked the plush. This morning, we got a message from my parents asking me to apologize for trying to interfere in the way that brother-in-law treats his wife. I honestly don't see the need to get all this drama from a plush that could make a little girl, aka that actually needs toys, happy even if it was stained. Am I really in the wrong here? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, I love how OP's solution to her children destroying property is, why don't you reward my kid for ruining your stuff by giving it to her? OP's daughter violated the look but don't touch rule. 4-year-olds were unsupervised enough that they were running around with full cups of Coca-Cola. Like, this is on you 100%, OP. You should have been keeping a better eye on the 4-year-olds. They shouldn't have been running around with cups of Coca-Cola. And yeah, it just, like, you did not handle this well at all. Your disdain for the sister is disgusting. It is totally fine for adults to like whatever they like. It doesn't matter if it's stereotypically childish.
So, yeah, I think that While I think that OP handled this in a poor way, I do, and I think that OP is having a really hard time wrapping their head around what is upsetting the sister here, and then on top of that, OP insulting the sister and saying all this kinds of stuff, right? These are people who you are invited over constantly to this household, and they are being rude guests in this particular case. Now, I can understand why OP wouldn't want to pay $200 to replace a plush. That's a lot of money, especially if they don't have $200. And the sister should also be aware of the financial restraints that the family has. Now, that's not to say that the kids aren't at fault and that they shouldn't be, should be running around with stuff. And I agree that the 12-year-old shouldn't be touching stuff like when they're told not to. Kids get their hands into things and sometimes they do stuff, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. And $200 is a lot of money to spend. Whether or not the sister is making unreasonable demands or not, I think is really up to her and her husband at the end of the day about whether they want to afford to have this replaced or not. It's difficult because like a toy is a toy. It's not like it's essential or vital for their work. So like in the past we've had cases like kids have ruined paints, for instance. So, or artistic supplies, where these were kind of important things for them to do with their job, whereas a plush is kind of a little less important for that.
I don't know. I'm still on the opinion of it was OP's responsibility to be monitoring her children. If the 12-year-old, it sounds like, she should have not have taken things. And OP is so dismissive of it in the comments.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, she's just like, well, I take it you all were just saints when you were children. She's not reprimanding her child. She hasn't done anything. She just is like, oh, just give my child your stuff because she likes it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that OP's in the right. And I'm certainly not saying that OP or, they should be disciplining their daughter. They should have, tell her that she can't be doing these kinds of things. She broke a rule. The parents, they should probably not be letting their kids run around with, drinks and stuff like that. But accidents also happen too, right?
Well, they do. But, like, I'm just thinking about this from my perspective as someone who has a lot of quote unquote inessential things that could be considered toys. And I would be really upset if a kid came into my house and ruined them. Granted, none of them are worth $200. You're like, I would still be upset and hurt. I don't know the circumstances. It would depend if I demand it to be replaced or not. But like, I would want a replacement, whether from myself or someone else. So
yeah, well, I mean, certainly, like in that particular case, I think I could foresee us, for instance, going out of our way to replace that item, right? I wouldn't necessarily demand a guest to do it unless it was malicious, right? Now, if the daughter had done this on purpose, explicitly for the reason of trying to acquire the plush.
That's what it sounds like, because she was crying at McDonald's over not having the plush, but that could have just been because her mom introduced the idea of, oh, this can be yours.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, is like she didn't even think about it being hers until the mom introduced it, or maybe she was like hoping that her auntie would give it to her or something like that.
Like, I don't think she was well-intentioned here. I think she wanted it and she was,
So, like, if the 12-year-old did this on purpose, yeah, I think that at that point in time, it's not an accident anymore, it's malicious, right? And then that would call for her to basically replace it. If this was an innocent accident, accidents happen. Sometimes kids, they get rambunctious and they do stuff. And forcing them to pay back a $200 toy, that's a little I'm a little less inclined for that. I think that it does need to be replaced, and it would be good for them to get it cleaned if they can, but $200 is a lot for people who don't have $200. You can't get blood out of a stone.
Well, certainly, but I think that OP's sister and brother-in-law are well within their right not to invite them back again. Not to let their kids anywhere in their house. Like, I would not be inviting those people over again. They were just terribly behaved. And I really hate OP's attitude over, like, her sister in general. Like, her sister works as a voice actor, and she diminishes it as she stays at home and sometimes, I don't remember her exact phrasing, but makes character voices or something like that. It's like delegitimizing her job, even though it sounds like she probably out earns OP and her husband. Not that money is everything, but for her to be like, oh, she's just so childish when she's making money. Delegitimizing her hobbies, her interests. This level of disdain here is so disgusting, and I feel so bad for OP's sister because it seems like she and her husband have been so hospitable to these people who are just using them for free food and
Yeah.
entertainment.
Well, I agree on that. I mean, I think that OP's attitude here is not a good attitude, and it doesn't seem like she respects her sister, and she's treating her sister like her husband is treating her like a child type of thing, right? And I think that OP was way out of line in that respect. Like, I don't think that they are being a good sibling here. And so I do think that there's a lot of other problematic aspects to this story. And if we could, I think, I think that this one you could pick apart for quite some time because there's a lot of different avenues here. Like, yeah, the sister's actually OP here is not being a good person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the disdain that she's showing and being like demanding a free stuffed animal because it's been
Yeah.
ruined, like completely goes over their head, right? The sister is not angry because the toy is not going to give you the toy because it has Coca-Cola spilt on it,
Right,
right?
that just incentivizes the kids to keep ruining her stuff.
Yeah, and the next time they'll go in there and throw Coca-Cola over everything and then get even more toys, right? It's like at that point in time,
Like the level of entitlement too. Like she felt entitled to the stuffed animal. She felt entitled to a dinner. Like they kicked us out without even eating. You ruined their stuff. Like of
yeah.
course they're gonna kick you out and not gonna feed you free food.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been different if OP had immediately apologized and been like, "I'm so so sorry. Is there anything we can do to make this up for you?" And then the sister, in them work something out. Whereas OP is just like making demands immediately, being like, "Just give the kids the toy to my kids." But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Ms. ZO2 says, am I reading this correct? The course of the events are your daughter steals an item that she knows she shouldn't touch, much less remove from the office that it's kept in. Daughter or sons immediately damage said item by spilling soda on it. Sister tells you the price for the replacement. You decide that the price it costs them is too expensive, which is not your decision to make. It costs what it costs. If they broke $500 table, you don't get to say that the table isn't worth $500. Your counter offer, being asked to pay to replace the thing that your child broke, is instead of doing the responsible thing and paying for it, I am asking you to give it to us as for free instead. 6. Your sister offers a cheaper solution, which you decline again and asks to reward your daughter for stealing and breaking an object that they own. When called out on this, your response is to have her husband pay for the thing that your daughter damaged instead of you. You belittle your sister and her husband for spending their money on items that bring them joy, calling them childish for checks notes, having hobbies and spending money on each other like a loving couple would. Am I getting all of that right? Yes, you are a massive jerk, and not even getting to the massive jealousy streak that you have for their income level, lifestyle, hobbies, and relationship. Your air quotes freelancing like doing voice acting isn't legitimate. You mock her hobbies and interests. Adults can like Pink and cartoons and Funkos. Your claim is it's okay, but your post is dripping with judgment about their lifestyle. You clearly have disdain for them not having kids as a burden. Buying things for your wife is not treating them like they are 10. Gift giving is a form of a love language. So yes, you're the jerk for not righting the wrong that your child committed. Your child should be saying that your child should be rewarded for it. You're the jerk for your judgmental and jealous attitude towards your sister and brother-in-law. And OP replies, again, who said that my daughter stole anything? It's not like she was planning to give it back. She just wanted to look at it. I don't care about the money, but they certainly have more than enough to replace the plush. They don't need those $200 if they can spend it on a plush. It was an innocent accident that happened to an innocent child, not a thief. I mean, I do think that it was an innocent accident, but again, the kid shouldn't be being rewarded for damaging someone else's property, right?
Well, this whole attitude that if you can buy things you like as an adult, you're not entitled to them and you're wasted money. It's like, yes, kids should have nice things, but adults should be able to have them too. Like,
Yeah.
age doesn't make you less entitled to nice things.
Well, and I think what OP is trying to say is that they are, their family isn't able to afford $200, and if like I think they're phrasing this very very poorly and condescendingly. Like they're saying, "Oh, we can't afford this. We can barely, afford meals. If they can afford a plush, then they clearly, don't need the extra money or whatever, right?" But I think that it's very condescending the way they're saying this. And I mean, I certainly understand them being like, we can't afford $200. And again, I don't think the kid went out of their way to steal it and maliciously ruin it. At least I hope not. And some Sugar and Spice says, if she just wanted to look at it, why did she have to touch it, pick it up, and take it out of the room? And OP replies, kids have the right to like things, don't they? Who didn't cross a rule when they were kids? If she so badly wanted it out of view, she should have just closed the door.
Which is, blaming the victim at its finest. Like, it sounds like the sister thought that the 12-year-old was mature enough to be able to be in her room. And it sounds like the 12-year-old's been in there before without issue. 12-year-old violated the rules. That's not the sister's fault for being trusting.
Yeah, well, the 12-year-old could have kept the toy in the room and played with it or looked at it while they were in the room and then just not brought it out. And the question is, like, why did she feel the need to bring this plush out of the room and show it off or something like that, right? When she knows she's not supposed to. I mean, 12 isn't like 5, right? Like, she knows what she's supposed to do and not supposed to do. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she allegedly has a joke.
What do you call ornate ceremonial objects owned by circus performers?
What do you call ornate ornamental objects that circus owners have or circus performers have? I call them swords and knives and cresses meant to bring about the clown gods.
The clown jewels.
Oh, that's very clever. I like that. I like that a lot. And I have Mega Mint. I was just trying to go for the creepy laughing again. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spectacular Saturday. I hope your weekend is going fine. I know that we only had one letter today, but we also had a live stream yesterday. So if you want to catch some of that, feel free to go and see that and look that up. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it an old adage.
If you break it, you buy it.
If you break it, you buy it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.